If you want to show us some love, donate at rubydaytv.com, the home of all my exclusives, and don't forget to leave the show a rating or a review. Thanks to Tantaley for sponsoring today's episode. Tantaley has everything you need for your next self-care moment, with a wide range of high-quality companion dolls to fit any taste. So make sure to check out Tantaley and use code RUBYDAY to get 12% off your purchase. Realism redefined. You deserve the best experience. So lifelike, you'll be amazed at how real they feel. Welcome to Love Shot. This is Ruby Day.
And I'm Olivia.
Turn-ons.
Yeah, more turn-ons.
The perfect sex length. This has been such a debate that I've had over the years with so many people, men and women, that, it's kind of up in the air.
You know what they say, the perfect 7, right? I mean, that's a lot of people's size is the perfect 7.
Okay, my perfect is 7 3/4.
Oh, okay.
Because at 8, you're going to start bottoming out on me.
Yeah, I've had several sizes. I've had everything. I mean, I even had a gentleman who had 5.5 inches, and he knew how to use it. I can't say it wasn't. It didn't end up being good. To be honest, a lot of it comes down to knowing how to use it,
technique and
style and confidence. However,
okay, so it's kind of like pool. It's all about the angles.
It's all about the angles.
It's just like pool. It's all about the angles.
Oh God.
Because like you, I had a gentleman who was about 5 inches, roughly, right around there. And I have to tell you, he ranked on one of my top 10 sex partners.
Yeah.
All because he knew about the positions and the angles, and he actually knew what really worked for his size. Yeah. And that was just such a freaking turn on that I wasn't expecting. But I was like, oh yeah, I'll take that. I'm not going to kick that one out of my bed just because it's maybe a little shorter or average than what my usual thought of my perfect size is. Yeah. Like I said, 7 3/4 is really that's my sweet, happy place.
Yeah.
But that being said, if I'm really, really, really excited and turned on, give me something much longer. And they better know how to use it just so that they're not bottoming out on me and causing pain. But I like them kind of all sizes, depending on what my mood is, what I'm looking for, how well they use that size.
It is really about technique, no matter if you're smaller or larger. If I was just to say, I've had ranges from 5.5 inches up to 8.5. That's the biggest I've ever had. What's the biggest you've had, Ruby?
A foot.
A foot? Oh my gosh.
Literally like a baby's arm from my wrist to my elbow.
I hear about that.
That's how big he was. And he wasn't super skinny thin either. He had nice girth. But I have to tell you, it was a slight disappointment. Not because of the size, but because he didn't know how to use it.
Yeah, and that's my point.
And so it was like, oh my gosh, what a waste of this huge, beautiful penis that he can't even use it. So it was a little bit of a, kind of like a dud firecracker. The picture looked really great, and I was super excited. But then when it got down to the play, I was like, he doesn't know what the hell he's doing with this. And he didn't take direction well. So it was like a waste of the length.
The misnomer or the assumption is that ladies can have, and even men, I think, can have that thinking, well, they just need a bigger dick. With the bigger D, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean it's going to be more pleasurable necessarily. However, some of the best sex I've had with a man, I would dare say, they was always falling between. A lot of it was 7 to 8 inches. However, there's a couple of guys on my roster who were below that, who happened to be also very thick. And so we're not just talking length now, we're talking about thickness, And so
girth,
one of the guys that was a 5.5, another one is a 6.5. Both of them were really, really, really girthy, and I have to be honest, I like some girth too. And sometimes girth is actually maybe better than the extra length, because I like that stretch. I like feeling that stretch and feeling my sidewalls and everything like that. But it's like it's very. That is the other length. Guys don't talk about it much, and girls don't think about it much. They always think about the how long it is, but we don't think about how width it is. Although you will see some of those pictures on the internet, those guys sending you dick pics with it's like holding it up to a beer can or something like that. And you're like,
I love those dick pics because I get a good idea of the length as well as the girth.
Yeah.
And so it's like I get the whole package. I know that sounds really odd, but I actually like putting a soda or a beer can next to the cock because it gives that reference point. It's like,
you would.
Oh yeah, I know what that looks like. I know what that's going to feel like. I know what that's going to touch like. I get it.
Yeah, I remember the first time I had one of the thickest D's I ever had was on a guy who was like 6 inches, a little over 6 inches, and I was like, he was self-conscious. He's like, well, if you're a size queen, you may not like it, and I go, oh my God, honey, a size queen. He's thinking about his length, and I'm looking at his width, and I'm going, oh my Lord. I mean, this thing was literally a beer bottle. And, and at first, when I first took it, I was like, whoa, I don't know if I can do this. It's like really stretching.
I think also the perfect length, size, all depends on the girl too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because I have girlfriends who are really shallow and they're really tight and they don't like anything over a 5-inch.
Yeah, I know
because
girls like that.
They're so shallow. That most men don't know how to operate their utensils well enough to not make intercourse uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I've known other girls that are cavernous and they want the biggest that they can possibly find.
Yeah.
Sometimes they want 2 of them at a time because they just don't get the same sensation. So it really kind of depends on the person.
Oh, totally.
And that's why I always say to guys, hey, don't be self-conscious about how big or thick you are, how long, because there's a girl out there that your size is her dream.
Absolutely.
Like, that's what she looks for. And so just because you don't find it in one partner, there'll be someone else out there who's like, oh, no, I'm good with that.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking for.
I've actually run into more girls and more women that will literally say that, even 7 inches is too big.
Yeah.
It's too big. I can't do that.
It's
That'll
too
tear me
much.
up.
It's too overwhelming for them. It kind of scares them off. And I'm like, oh, no, bring them to me. I'll take those and I'll give you
well,
the
I know,
others.
but what my point was all you guys out there, I think there's a trend in our culture to got to have a bigger dick, and that's what women want, when the reality is that's not necessarily what women want. Not the majority of them. Lord knows there are those women out there that are size queens and want that, but most of the women I know, and I have known all my life, they really prefer something that's more comfortable to them. And when they start getting much bigger and much thicker, sometimes they do get uncomfortable, or they can, especially if they don't know how to use it. There is a visual. And something I love, we have the growers and the showers, right? And I'm actually turned on. I'm a woman who actually enjoys just as much looking at a hard cock as a flaccid cock. I actually like both of them. And I've had some men who were just, they were showers. And they'll just sit there and wag it at you and stuff like that and show you that length as they're wagging it. And it's like, that's sexy. And then when they get hard, they're like, oh, they're not any longer. No. It's the same, like they're just fully there. And then
but you can bounce on them a lot easier.
Well, you can. But I've also run into some men who literally, they look soft, like they have the small penis. And then, surprise, it's like a jack out of the box. And like next thing you know, you've got yourself an 8-inch, 7 to 8 inch thing that's happening there. And it's really surprising.
You're kind of like, where'd that come from?
Right. And I love to watch them grow. I love to watch them grow.
So you like sea monkeys, I take it.
I do like sea monkeys.
I do too.
I used to have sea monkeys when I was
too.
younger.
Like, they're fun to watch. It's like,
oh goodness.
look at them.
Yeah,
there they go.
the length of guys' cocks, I think is very, very fascinating.
I think it's a very personal
It is
thing.
very personal for women and
for
men.
women
Everybody.
and for men, yeah.
So I want to encourage men and all you men out there that are listening, please don't be insecure with your D's, because the reality is there is someone out there for everyone.
Yeah.
And you can still have that whatever size, and as long as you know how to use it, you're gold.
Like I said, just study pool and angles. You'll figure it out.
Well, one of the things I love with a guy who is, if he is smaller or large, whatever, it's like, but especially a smaller guy who has a smaller D, is, get in there and grab my hips and move my hips around so we can hit those spots.
Well, it's the angle. It's like pivoting.
Oh, yeah.
And for women to hit those spots, no matter what length you are.
Absolutely.
It's all about being able to help the woman relax enough that you can shift her hips or help her move into a position to get that certain angle.
Right.
And there's some positions, depending on your size, there's some positions that just work better for everyone, just in general, than others do. I even have that. I'm 5'7", and there are certain angles that just in sex and positions that work better for me and my height and how I'm made than other ones do. And I always try to, as a partner, I always try to keep those in mind. So when we're changing positions, I can get into those positions and then help my partner understand, hey, do it this way. Let's try this. Let's do this. Let's be a little experimental. And so it's not all up to my other sex partner to know how my body works.
Nor is it the reverse.
Absolutely.
That brings up an interesting topic is something I do with my male partners is, and you guys know this, that got to get that right angle, right? You got to get that right angle for you and for your D to feel good. Well, us girls are the same way. So I love to talk and communicate with my partners about, hey, learn about the angles to do that. And so for you ladies out there, definitely you learn to pivot your hips and do different things.
Learn what angles work best for you.
For you and for him.
Yeah.
And figure out which ones overlap. And that's what makes great sex.
Yeah.
When you guys find the spots and the angles that work for both of you and they overlap, where it's good for him and it's good for you, girl, that's the way to fucking do it.
And it'll take those 5-6 inch cocks and make them feel like they are monstrous.
Yeah, so get out there and practice and explore.
Absolutely.
If you want to show us some love, donate at rubydaytv.com, the home of all my exclusives. And don't forget to leave the show a rating or a review.